Lord knows I'm a Diablo nerd. And Necret released a video, the story of Diablo 4 is a surprise. Like, bro, Diablo is the franchise on which I grew up, bro. You don't believe me? Oh my god, bro. Gosh. Oh my god. I destroyed something. Like, broski, I've got the originals, bro. What do we have? Got Diablo 2. This case is older than half of my viewership right now. Diablo 2 Lord of Destruction, bro. This game, the best. Diablo 3, was kinda sus. Let's just say Diablo 2 was goated, and I grew up on that game. And now Blizzard is releasing Diablo 4. To my knowledge, they learned from their mistakes on Diablo 3, which was way too cheerful, way too happy, you know? So which means they are making improvements upon Diablo 4, and Diablo 4 is, as far as I'm concerned, kinda goated. Like, bro, the release cinematic was straight up amazing, so I'm curious to see what's the story in here. Because in the main Diablo, well, we killed Diablo. So what's the point of making a game called Diablo if there is no Diablo? Well, to my knowledge, in the very beginning, what created mortals was angel called Inarius and a demon called Lilith doing the nasty and making humans. That's what happened. And we can see them in this cinematic, I believe. I believe we can see them in this cinematic. Actually, they made humans are not just Nephilim. Well, Nephilim, yeah, but I mean, by the time humans became. We had humans eventually. I imagined it wouldn't help, but how did we end up in here? What happened? And that's the light of Inarius, that angel. Archangel, to be honest, to be precise. Yep, that's the one. It's kind of overpowered on the line.
May we fight true in his holy name. Blessed be the light.
Where am I? I'm in the house, yeah. And that's Mommy Lilith. So basically, the whole story is that he's trying to get back to his ex. That's the angle. See, he wants to come back to his ex. That is adorable. So the question is, what is the story here? Well, he was the one who abandoned her, and now he pissed that his ex is back. Oh, so that's the angle. Let's see what is the story. So good guy Necro comes down to Lord Necro discovering everything. That's why we love the guy. So let's see what's the story here.
I can't believe it happened. I thought it was a myth, a legend. But no, I witnessed it with my own eyes. I streamed Diablo for exactly 20 minutes before I got disconnected, and some people already asked me if I was done with Genshin.
Like, obviously, you either go Genshin way or you go Diablo way. There's no in between, brothers. That's simple.
Did I make it? Am I officially a variety streamer?
Yep.
This weekend we finally got to play the beta of Diablo 4, which
The background music straight up young from Diablo 1 and Diablo 2. Oh my god, I want to cry, bro, just by hearing the background music.
means treat everything you're about to hear as a first impression rather than a review. We only got to play the first act, the level cap was 25, you were not allowed to walk outside of the first region, and still there is a lot to talk about. But
So basically, they did the same thing with Diablo 3. When it came down to testing, public testing, beta and early beta access, they released only Act 1, which was the most goated scenario ever, bro. And then everything went to shit after Act 1. Now the question is, will it happen will the same story happen to Diablo 4? I hope not. Because as far as I'm concerned, I haven't played beta in here.
while most people focus on the gameplay, the loot systems and the progression, I am the weird guy who is focusing on the story of a hack and slash game. And
I'm with this guy, by the way. Fuck the loot, fuck everything, story number 1. Straight up.
oh boy was I surprised after completing the first act of Diablo 4. So today, not only will we quickly talk about how the beta went down, but we'll also talk about why Diablo 4 may be Blizzard's return to their golden days of storytelling.
Oh, that's good.
Even when we want to talk about the story of a video game, we have to talk about the catalyst for that story, which is gameplay. After all, if the game is not good, the chances of you experiencing the story are exactly 0. But thankfully, so far...
But I mean, look at League of Legends. The game is dog, but we're still interested in story. Because we are hoping for the release of Riot MMO, you know? Which will have all of the bases of that universe implemented in the MMO game, such as the Darkens, which is straight up badass.
Things are looking bright for Diablo 4. It all begins with the character creator, which is serviceable. It is nothing mind-blowing, but it's good enough to make a character that is going to represent you during the cutscenes.
What do we have in here? Hold on, bro. I imagine that's a druid. Is that Amazon or is that... That's definitely a sorceress. Is that Amazon? I'm basing my experience on Diablo 2 because that was the most recent game I played, because Diablo 2 resurrected, by the way. I imagine that behind the Necrit is going to be a barbarian or paladin, or that's paladin, maybe?
To make a character that is going to represent you during the cutscenes. Which is where you are going to pay attention to how your character looks like the most. During the cutscenes, your character even takes off their helmet to really show them off.
Nice.
In combat and in the outside world, however, it is difficult to notice your character is not pre-made.
Oh, that's the classic with the RPG games.
After you get into the game, you'll get hit by good old classic Diablo. There aren't any massive innovations, it is a hack and slash dungeon crawler that just works. And
Yeah, they tried innovations in Diablo 3. They made the game colorful and happy, but not what we need, bro. That's not the Diablo we need.
when it works well.
Yep.
When the game launches, I want to play a druid. Unfortunately, during the first round of the beta, the closest we could get to that was barbarian, which wasn't the best choice when it comes to balance. Fortunately though, barbarian is the best class to show off why the combat feels so good. Overall, it's a combination of 3 things. The abilities are fun to use, the sound effects are subtle but stellar, and the impacts feel powerful, especially with the screen shake and the occasional decapitation.
Okay.
In many ways,
Okay, yeah, that's the family-friendly game I remember. Okay, we're getting there.
building a character in Diablo 4 is similar to what we had in Diablo 3. You have an action bar with limited slots, and you pick abilities that synergize together. But Diablo 4 is a tiny step ahead. Their new talent system makes building characters a bit more diverse,
Holy.
with different talents playing off of each other, and with a lot more passive talents to round up your builds. Again, it is not a massive innovation from what we've seen so far, but it is better than what we had in Diablo 3.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it looks very complex, but the question is, what's going to happen to the skill tree? Yeah, that is a skill tree. See, the thing is, what's going to happen? Going to be one of 2 ways. First, it's going to divide players into 2 groups. Group number 1 is going to be the min-maxers who want to have the best stats possible, which means they will look up the guides on the internet and will not even explore the runes in here, the skill tree in here, the skills, and just follow the guide blindly. Says 5 points in here, you put 5 points in here. It says 3 points in here, you put 3 points in here. Will not even read. And then there's the other group of player base who will not follow the guideline, who do not care about the min-max. They want to have just fun, and they'll put points everywhere because they are experimenting with stuff. Honestly, I feel like I'll belong to the second group of the player base in here.
Although I have to mention that Diablo 4 has the new evade button, which is something Diablo 3 didn't have. Okay, that is a lie.
Most who play Diablo 4 state that the game is dead boring, but suddenly Act 1 with limited loot, limited cinematics, limited, literally straight up everything is limited. It's suddenly testing, what do you mean? Of course it's boring, it's suddenly testing. Testing is always boring. That's why people are paid to do it. Straight up people pay for their games to be tested. That's a profession, bro.
Diablo 3 did have an evade button, but only on consoles. Because Blizzard thought that console players were inferior and they needed help with... Speaking of which...
Console players are inferior? Changed my mind?
At the beginning, the game offers you 2 difficulties. Normal and Veteran. Go Veteran. Normal is for people who don't know how video games work. Veteran is pretty much the normal difficulty, which also gives you increased experience and loot.
So what about we got only 2 in here? How about we get even more old tiers, eh?
Normal is for people who don't know how video games work.
Like straight up 4 difficulties, see? The 4th one is going to be straight up God mode. Dark Souls 101.
Veteran is pretty much the normal difficulty, which also gives you increased experience and loot. With that said, I have to say that I was very surprised that, at times, the game does actually give you some challenge. There are gonna be times when you meet a boss and you kinda have to min-max your tools to beat them. Or you can just rebuild your talents on the spot, which is really cool. However...
Oh, we can rebuild talents on that spot, okay. So yeah, technically if I'm going back to the talent tree of 2 groups of talent, 3 people. If your fun build doesn't work, you can go with a min-max build and actually one-shot the boss. I feel like that's going to be the angle as well.
However, I learned that at times I probably struggled because I was playing Barbarian. A sorcerer or a rogue have everything so much easier. And that's because Blizzard gives all of their games a staple feature. If you are melee, you're f***ed. From Baron and Shazra in Classic, to every single boss in Burning Crusade, to Reinhardt in Overwatch.
But I mean, we also had Paladin in Diablo 2, which is straight up the most powerful solo player. Bro, don't remember what was Smite build. I feel like that was the Smite build, which you would, when you would go full tank, you'd go to the end game, bosses, and you would farm them. You would straight up farm them, you know? Also, we had the Hammerden, which as a Paladin, well, technically you are a melee, but you were summoning hammers around you. And those hammers were, well, not technically in the melee range, but they were one-shotting everyone around you. Still no, not in the game, but even then, it's all good. We're getting there.
In Blizzard games, playing ranged makes your life easier. And so far, this may be proven to be true yet again in Diablo 4. Lastly, when it comes to gameplay, we can quickly mention progression. Diablo is a dungeon crawler, or an ARPG if you want, which means it is based on satisfying loot. And thankfully, I think I can confirm that seems to be the case here. Seeing a legendary drop not only feels satisfying with the orange light and the sound effect, but oftentimes legendaries are also designed to be transformative. In
what do you mean transformative?
other words, they affect how your character plays. For example, the first legendary I got drastically increased my attack speed, which means, yeah, that was a satisfying drop.
Nice, but the question is how often will we get the legendary drops? That's the question, because in Diablo 3, bro, we had legendaries drop more often than f***ing common items. Seeing a bad item was a rare sighting, because you would see legendaries everywhere.
Besides drops, Diablo also gives you some achievements which you can hunt for extra rewards.
That's nice.
For example, there is an achievement for unlocking all the waypoints, or there is a challenge for killing 40 enemies in 3 seconds.
Okay.
And the rewards can be flat stat increases for all of your characters, or extra loot that can be claimed by any of your characters. Lastly, every region also has its own reputation.
Oh, there's a map. Okay, hold on. We need to navigate the map of the sanctuary. Well, this is the sanctuary. The sanctuary is the entire map. Is the entire planet. Is the entire place where we live. Okay, what do we have in here? Dry steps. I don't see Lufgal Lane. Where is it? Should be somewhere near. Kyrgyzstan. Twin Seas. Westmarsh. I remember Westmarsh. Kingsport. Yeah, the same map. Okay, not much change. Good.
And of course, you gain reputation there by doing their quests. This may feel a little bit like an MMO mechanic, and that's because at times Diablo 4 is trying to force a bit of an MMO feeling into their game. And so far, running around and seeing other players around feels okay, but it doesn't really feel like it is improving the experience just yet. We've seen that people can get together and fight massive world bosses, which felt kinda good, but I'm hoping in the future Blizzard is gonna utilize the MMO feeling a little bit better. I am not expecting Fortnite level of events.
In order to actually get the MMO feeling, you need to tone down the leveling. This sets us up to face another set of problems, which is if you're taking 3 days to level from level 1 to level 10, then you know the game can become slightly boring, but also at the same time it feels way more rewarding when you are making a group of 5 people, for example, to take down the world boss at that slow level, and the thing drops loot, you know, it feels kind of progressive, assuming that the game will gonna have like standard 100 levels, you know? That way we will prolong the game, but it's going to be a grind to max out to level 100, to maximum level. So this is where we're gonna trim down, we're going to lose a lot of casual player base, and the sad reality is that nowadays everyone is a casual player. That's it. The hardcore times are over, let's be real.
But some events in the future would help with what Blizzard is trying to achieve. Because right now, if you take the open world multiplayer away, not much is gonna change. Besides that, as I mentioned, when the game works, it works well. And if you like action games, you are most likely going to enjoy the gameplay of Diablo 4. Now, after gameplay, before we dive into the story, let's quickly talk about the setting. Diablo has a dark universe, and the game reflects that perfectly.
Yep.
Most of the areas are grim and dark, but the game combats this with a light source that is coming from your character. This is both symbolic, because your character is supposed to be the beacon against all evil, but it is also achieving amazing contrast levels for every dungeon.
And also, yeah, beacon against all evil. See, the thing is, your character in the story is a Nephilim. Nephilim is straight up the descendant of Inarius, that angel, and Lilith, the demon. So you're half and half, brother. You're half angel, half demon. So sure, on one hand you are the light against all demons, but also you're a demon to all angels. So you're kinda in the middle ground, brother. I feel like that was the whole scenario of Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls. I feel like that's what happened in there, bro. I feel like that's what was the story in there. Why? Bro, I forgot his name. The aspect of wisdom. The old aspect of wisdom, bro. Forgot his name. The main boss, bro, who decided to kill Nephilim because, well, we killed demons, so the Nephilim... The humans are 50-50%, so you know, there's still 50% of demons in them, we have to kill them.
As well as it helps make the world feel alive. As you move around, all the shadows of all the objects around you are going to shift. This is something the players won't really think about, but it makes every level feel dynamic. The camera work also helps with immersion. When you are in a dungeon, the camera is gonna be a little bit closer to you. This makes it feel like you are in a closed space. And when you are in the outside world, it will zoom out a little bit to help with the open world feeling. Speaking of which, the zoom is amazing, even though it is just a stupid detail. Instead of the zoom acting like it does on a camera, where it changes the FOV as you get closer, which warps the objects on the sides. Here, the zoom only brings the image closer, which makes it look like a macro shot.
That's how zoom is supposed to work now. Hello?
Which makes you feel like you are watching a miniature character from the high heavens. This is so stupid and I love it. Lastly, when it comes to the environment, people may run past these. But these are points in the game where you can interact with this hidden rune, which shows you the amazing scenery. So look for these triangles when you are adventuring around.
Oh, that's nice.
And of course, no environment would be complete without music.
Long story short, yeah, we had the same thing in the Lost Ark. In the Lost Ark, I mean, they're just devs sucking their own pee-pee. And granted, because devs put in a lot of work into the environment, so they want to show it off. Also, I believe it's going to be one of the achievements as well in the game, that you have to collect all of these runes that reveal the surroundings, to show you the scenery, to show you the environment, you know?
The ambience itself feels great. All the footsteps and crawling around makes everything feel alive. But more importantly, Blizzard took a different approach when it comes to the music of Diablo 4. Diablo 3 had a lot of melodic themes.
Like, look at it, let's straight up. The Diablo 3 was horrible. Why Diablo 3 failed is because it was colorful. Even though you might say this is a dark game, but it was fucking colorful in comparison to Diablo 2 and Diablo 4 that we see right now. And music was sussy, bro. It wasn't dark. It wasn't depressing.
Which made the music feel iconic, but not as immersive.
Yep.
Here, they went full Insano style. There are a lot of creepy drones that underline every scene.
I want to buy this game right now.
Yes, the music is just as catchy as it always was, but Blizzard always shoved a creepy drone into the background, which gives us these great scores which are also unsettling.
I got the game in 7 seconds. Those are rookie numbers. You have to get with the fill, yeah? You have to hit the fill and wait for 59 minutes, like, bro. If you think these are rookie numbers, bro, we got better. We got 101 better. Anyway, we got some time. That's what we're doing reacts.
And at times, the music can get gorgeous in a creepy way. Now, that's pretty much it for the entire gameplay side. Simply said, when the game plays well.
Nice.
So let's talk about when the game doesn't play well.
Yeah, the classic Blizzard shenanigans with the servers. Blizzard cannot handle the big influx of player base right out of the gates. So we're talking about releases of DLCs, expansions, and public testing. So Diablo 4 beta, that's what we're talking about.
Yes, it is beta, so we can assume most of the bugs will be ironed out. Right?
Servers?
Besides the funny bugs like the character creator creating multiple of the same character, or dying and remaining invisible. Yeah, that was a fun one. The game does actually have bigger problems. The largest of them was a strange memory leak. It wasn't really a leak because it wasn't infinitely consuming your resources.
What?
But for some reason, the cap on your RAM was so high that people with 32 gigs of RAM were forced into quite a few crashes. Which of course spawned memes.
Johnny, yes papa, eating ramen again, no papa, telling lies again, no papa, open your mouth. 90 per 16 gigs of RAM, swear to God, it's amazing.
Thankfully I didn't face this problem, because my entire game was choppy. To be fair, it's because I am running OBS on the side because I have to record footage. And at this point I do have about 4 or 5 year old machine.
True that, yeah, a couple of years old of the machine and OBS is taking a bit of resources. Out of curiosity, bro, how much resources is my OBS yoinking right now? OBS is yoinking, Photoshop is taking 2 gigs, but I mean, why do you have Photoshop open, no? Close? Only 2 gigs, yeah, we're good, as far as I'm concerned, we're good. But we're not playing the game, but we're just watching a video. So imagine what's going to happen when we'll play the game.
So, I immediately started looking for an upgrade. But still, on high settings, the loss of frame rate is not that uncommon. And I wasn't the only one who experienced this by far.
Why is Microsoft Edge open though? Do I have Edge? Hey, the more you know.
What's really cool, however, is that Blizzard has advanced options that can help with performance. A really big one that people shouldn't sleep on is temporal reconstruction. In a lot of cases, this single box is gonna fix a lot of your frame rate issues. What it does is that it makes the game render only half of all pixels. And then it lets your CPU calculate the rest of the pixels based on the pixels that surround them. This saves some resources on your graphics card. But in rare cases, you may see some artifacts on your screen. That happens whenever the calculations go through incorrectly. But from personal experience, I can tell you, there is no way you are gonna notice an artifact in an action game. Unless you are really looking for it.
Yeah, and unless you are not fighting and just exploring everything.
And even if that doesn't fix your problems, just go for medium settings. I had to do it if I wanted to run OBS at the same time, and the difference was minimal. The game still looks great. And for now, just know that yes, Blizzard can do some optimizations. Who knows, maybe the frame rate issue is gonna disappear after they fix their RAM problem. But now, I think it's time to finally go full weirdo mode. I think it's time we talk about the story in a Diablo game.
It took us only 12 minutes to get to the story. Yeah, okay, this is why we're here, boys.
For the longest time, a lot of people always thought that Diablo had a simple story. And on surface, that is definitely what it always felt like.
Yes, there's a demon, kill the demon, but in reality, bro, oh no, it goes straight up from the very beginning of time. from the creation of one being, which split itself into two like kindred. It was a good being, it was a bad being. They fought, both of them died. From the good being, from the corpse of the good being came angels. From the corpse of the bad being came the demons. But there was a long war, then angel Inarius and demon Lilith said, you know what, enough is enough, let's make love, not war. Thus they created Nephilim, but they did that in a secret place called Sanctuary. The entire thing of Sanctuary was they needed to have a world runestone, a massive stone that was a part of the body of the first good guy. Yeah, remember the good guy, yeah, from which angel spawned. So that's what happened. So they stole the stone and they created the entire world of Sanctuary, and this is where they hid their children. Then demons said, you know, this is not good, we need to do demon stuff.
But many people may not know that the universe of Diablo has quite some deep and already established lore.
Yep.
After all, we are dealing with the fourth game in this setting. And after you dig a little bit deeper in...
What do you mean for Diablo, Diablo 2, Diablo 2, Lord of Destruction, Diablo 3, Reaper of Souls, Diablo Immortal, the best, and Diablo 4, rather I count 7.
You may notice that the story isn't really good versus bad. It is bad against worse. Or in other words, Hell versus High Heavens. The extremely TLDR version of the story is that both the Hell and the High Heavens fought over an artifact called the World Stone.
That's the one.
This artifact had the power to manipulate the fabric of the cosmos. And it was this artifact that was used to create Sanctuary, which is the mortal world people live in.
Yep.
As it happens to be, Sanctuary was created between the heavens and hell. So humanity got stuck in the middle of a war. In the past, there was an event where the prime demons of hell almost destroyed the gates of the high heavens. But right before it happened, the primes started arguing over who would get to rule all reality after the conquest.
He's talking about the prime evils, so he's talking about Diablo and his brothers, Mephisto and Baal. Yeah, 3 prime evils as far as I'm concerned. Don't tell me the queue is still going. What do you mean the queue is still going? Is the queue still going? Nah! That's only Phil, by the way. What do we have in here? Yeah, we're still good. We're still gaming, boys.
Which of course led to all the prime demons fighting. And the high heavens came out unscathed. That's why there is a bit of a rivalry between all the demons. What's great about Diablo 4 is that during the first act, it will explain all the lore you need to know for this game. It will tell you the basics of Diablo 3, it will reference the Horadrim, an order of heroes who fight prime evil led by Tyrael. It indirectly references the Nephilim, who are the offsprings of the demons and angels, and who are also the playable characters of Diablo 3. And later on, just look for these stones.
Jock writing over ancient symbols, Sanctuary, interact, okay?
They will actually quickly explain the book lore of the Diablo universe.
Nice! This is the criticism I had with Blizzard and when they were creating World of Warcraft Cataclysm. The information, the whole information why there's a big bad dragon was in the book. This information was never introduced into the game. But with this, bro, if you're giving me the book information in the game, sure, sign me up.
Of which, let's talk about Lilith, without any spoilers of course. What's interesting is that to the vast majority of the Diablo players, this will be an unknown character.
To the mass majority, yeah, but veterans who grew up playing Diablo 2, we know that Lilith is the daughter of Mephisto, and that's about it.
I have seen a lot of people who think that after we have defeated Diablo 3 times, Blizzard had to make up a new villain, and so they came up with Lilith. However, that couldn't be further from the truth.
She was there.
She's been a key character in this universe pretty much since the beginning. And
straight up, she is the mommy. Also in Diablo 2, we had Lilith as a demon. You were farming the keys to farm Ubers. That's the name, yeah. To Uber farm, you needed to kill Lilith. She was dropping the key. You get the key, but there's a lot of shenanigans. But in Diablo 2, they introduced Lilith. But this was not the Lilith we're talking about. This was just the fake news of Lilith. This was just a demon. Then they gave her the name Lilith. That's it. This is not the Lilith we're talking about.
Some of you may even remember her appearance in Diablo 2. In short, she is the daughter of Hatred, with the Lord of Hatred being Dull Mephistos,
Yep.
called Mephisto in Diablo 2. and she is the former lover of the Archangel Inarius.
And the mother of Nephilim, which are playable humans that were playing as champions. So technically she is a mommy, straight up.
Quite a Romeo and Juliet plot twist, isn't it? But for this game, that's all you really need to know about her. The game does actually explain the rest, of which there is a lot. Her lore appeared in the massive Sin War series, as well as the Book of Cain. Unfortunately, this is kinda how Blizzard operates. They put a lot of their core lore inside books.
Yeah, that's the problem I have with Blizzard, the war crimes. Yeah, also one of the better books explaining what happened in World of Warcraft when we imprisoned Garrosh. And what happened to the entire scenario, how the Warlords of Draenor expansion happened. To those who didn't read the book, that was me. I just saw, bro, we're imprisoning Garrosh because he's the bad guy. He was committing a bit of a genocide, we managed to capture him, all good. And then he does time travel bullshit. Alternate universe time travel bullshit. So that was like, what do you mean? How did that happen? Because all the information was in the book, and we didn't get it in the game.
Which especially the MMO players are not too happy about.
True.
So, how is Diablo 4 dealing with this? Simply said, the storytelling is a massive improvement over...
Illidan was a good book that explained the Burning Crusade. Yeah, in the Burning Crusade we were told that Illidan was the bad guy. In reality, he was the good guy doing bad things. Well, questionable things.
Diablo 3. With that said, Diablo 3 was good. And we only got to play the first act of Diablo 4, but still, there is a lot of great stuff to talk about. First of all, the story goes from bad to worse really quickly. And I love it. This universe is grim, it is dark, and they are not afraid to reflect that in the story.
Straight up, this is me looking at my League of Legends queue times right now. Definitely not hyperventilating. This is fine, chat.
In the story. In fact, the cutscene that sets up Act 1 might be the best piece of storytelling Blizzard has ever pulled off. I don't wanna spoil it, but it's the card scene. Instead of just turning your character into a hero that is gonna conquer all evil, they actually give them a little bit of a mystery to deal with. And
holy, what XD? 11-minute queue. What do you mean 11 minutes queue? No, you missed the number. Picasso, you missed the number. That's 114 minutes queue. What do you mean?
this mystery gives the entire story a new, interesting twist. Because now you are not just wondering how we are gonna beat Prime Evil, but you are also wondering what the heck is going on. And this is something I did not expect to see in a Diablo game. What also helped is that at the beginning, when the game introduces Lilith for the first time, it paints her as a Prime Evil villain. But then later, you learn about her motives. And at times, you may find yourself feeling sympathetic towards her.
Sympathetic from the word simp. Coincidence? I think not, chat. Anyway.
Because you learn, as was already shown in all the books, that she isn't just pure evil. I mean, she was with an angel. Which is a massive contrast to most of the other villains from the previous games. Both Diablo and Mephistos were pretty much just evil monsters. But she gives everything a twist, which then quickly starts reflecting in the overall storytelling. As you walk into the world of Sanctuary, you start visiting different cities. And you learn that different places deal with sins differently. Yeah.
Malfoil wasn't. That's his name, Malfoil. There we go, bro. I forgot. Yeah, that's the main villain of Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls. Malfoil, that's the angel. He was the angel of aspect of wisdom. Then he decided to step down to do some exploration. This is where Tyrael replaced him after Diablo 3. Replace him as aspect of wisdom.
Yes, unless you get twisted, everyone still hates demons. But at times, people also don't like pure faith. After all, sins are a common part of everyone's lives. Besides all the main quests that deliver the main story arc, you also have the option to walk around and just talk to random NPCs. Thankfully, everything is narrated, but by doing so, you may learn how really awful it is to live in this world, which is something you're not gonna pick up only from the main quest. After all, it is the common people who are stuck in the middle of a horrifying war. All of these conversations are really quick, but they give you a lot of world building.
Nice.
And sometimes, after going through all the conversation options, it unlocks more options, which gives you more world building. It is really hard to make people appreciate these without spoiling anything. So just trust me that sometimes, after talking to some of the random NPCs, things get a lot creepier. Here we can also mention another heavily underappreciated fact.
Yeah, when it comes down to creepy shenanigans, Blizzard is known in their Warcraft and the Diablo universes and Starcraft universe. And brother, there are some creepy gems. Not very family-friendly gems also.
The main character is fully voiced. I know it doesn't sound that impressive, but trust me, after going through that, it is a nice surprise. Which finally brings me to the biggest point of storytelling Diablo 4 has. The reason why the storytelling is so good. And it is the reason why I decided to make this video in the first place. The in-game cutscenes are meaningful, they are impactful, and your character is in them. In comparison, Diablo 3 did have a few beautiful cinematic cutscenes.
What do you mean few? All of them were beautiful. Straight up all of them, but your character was not present.
We still have no idea if these are gonna be here too, but come on, it's Blizzard. They should be. But besides...
Yeah, Riot! Take notes, yeah, when it comes down to cinematics. Take notes, just saying.
Know what Diablo 3 did?
I am their fist. When they would ignite the light of truth, I am their torch.
Yeah, because they didn't have any in-engine cutscenes, they couldn't make your character part of them. And so they had to use these 2D pre-rendered cutscenes, where you were supposed to fill in your character yourself. In Diablo 4, all the cutscenes feel like a proper story progression.
Nice.
In many ways, they feel like the kind of storytelling Blizzard did during Warcraft 3. A game I dearly loved, which made this thing all the more painful.
Yeah, he's talking about Warcraft 3 Reforged, where Blizzard decided, you know what, let's take an amazing game that we had, which was Warcraft 3, Reign of Chaos, and Warcraft 3 The Frozen Throne, and let's give it an update. And this was the update we got. Oh my god, it was horrible.
There, even though the in-game cutscenes were nothing special, every time a cutscene was triggered, you knew something special was about to happen.
Yep.
And Diablo 4 is walking in the exact same steps. It really feels like Blizzard is returning to their roots. Which is funny, because that's kinda what Blizzard is all about these days.
Riot, once again, start taking notes. League of Legends Classic, Season 1, Season 2, Season 3, Season 4. That's it, you know? No new champions, just old champs, old map. Well, map can be changed, yeah. Old dragons, old items, old runes. Give me my Hextech Blade, give me my Deathfire Grasp. No bull. The Yumi's in the game. Just an idea, right? Just an idea.
And in the case of Diablo 4, it really seems like it is paying off. All the in-game cutscenes are beautiful. Not aesthetically. Especially not after you go for medium settings. But in the way they are...
From what I understand, Yorick 1.0 was quite impressive. Imagine Yorick right now with one maiden. Yeah, it's already powerful. Yorick had 4 maidens. Well, he had 3 different minions and they were savages. Every single minion was as powerful as Maiden, so he had 3 of those. And they were no chill.
Shot, they are gorgeous. They use clever camera angles and they toy with the shadows. Which is on purpose in a story that is all about light against darkness. And after experiencing the first act, and after doing all the side quests and talking to all the NPCs, my god, is this a great breeze of fresh air for this universe. Again, I have to point out that this is just the first act. In many video games, the first act and the last act are always the most fleshed out. Because the first act is your first impression, and the last act is the one you are gonna remember.
Yep.
Because that's the most recent one.
And in the middle we have the fillers, that's pretty much it.
Anything in between can often be just okay. But at least when it comes to Diablo 4, I can safely say the story hook at the beginning is very strong.
Nice.
And I just pray they will keep it up. With that said, Blizzard also has another trademark of their own. which scared me after Diablo mentioned Lilith in reference to the cosmos. Because in every single one of their universes, if the story is running for too long, they start fiddling with cosmic threats. And that never ends up well for Blizzard.
Technically, in World of Warcraft, the cosmic threat, yeah, it's understandable. Old gods, yeah. We're talking about Battle for Azeroth, that the expansion was cringe. The idea was amazing, but execution of that idea was straight up cringe. Yeah, and that's about it.
Thank you for watching this video. If you'd like to support me on my journey to variety content, consider becoming a member of the channel. When the second round of open beta and when Diablo itself comes out, I will be absolutely streaming it. And
Nice.
lately, my streams kinda went over my expectations. Also, I'll be playing Druid. I'm ready for the pain. Speaking of which, here's a creepy fact before the video ends. We experienced the legendary Error 37 11 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the video.